Hello and welcome to Catheee Paints. I'm Catheee Wapple and we're painting minis tonight. Welcome to Gen Con TV. This is the guy that I've been working on the last few weeks, in addition to this other guy here. Working on both these guys. They're a duo. We call them Rocky and Bullwinkle. So this is Rocky. He's a dark elf. And last week we were working on the non-metallic metal, which is all this armor, trying to make it look like it's shiny without using metallic paint. That's the goal. And I think I succeeded pretty well with it. There are a few tweaks I want to do, and then we want to do the weapons because I didn't even get to those last week. And what else? What else? The fur trim. Let's see, but let's keep it to the metal. So the weapons, I think I want to smooth out a little bit of this area here. Oh, and when I was taking pictures of it, I noticed right here, somehow at some point I managed to scrape all the paint off of the toe of his boot, all the way down to the plastic. I don't know. So we need to fix that. So let's see. Let's find a little primer. I have these little sample bottles of Stenolrez primer. This is an airbrush primer, but it's good for brushing on. I use this for all of my models. Every model. Like this guy, that was just Stenolrez brush on primer. Brushed on. That's this part. It's gray. I added a little bit of a tint of blue paint to it. But we'll be painting over that. All my stuff I prep with that. Even though it's for airbrushes, you just brush that stuff on. And I'm going to use this little bottle cap because the primer is really thin. So if I put it on my palette, it'll just run everywhere. And I don't need very much because I'm only covering up a tiny little area on the toe of his boot. Hi, Vlieger Dragon. Hi, V. I love you. Have a good lark. Are you guys playing your role-playing game? Tonight is their Earth Dawn night. They are playing Earth Dawn. I don't know how. I have no idea how I scraped the paint off of this toe. You'll have to forgive me. I'm a little out of breath when I talk right now. It's the long COVID. So when I talk, it just kind of, I don't have the stamina I normally do for talking. I do have a little gray whipped up from last week still. I want to remake my darker color. So we'll get the crappy mixing brush out and get the bristles wet. And what did I do for the last one? I used blue. I need more blue than that, I think. I used blue, red, and green Did I use blue, red, and green or blue, red, and magenta? At any rate, it was blue and red, so we'll start with that. Maybe we can eyeball it from there. That blue and red makes a nice dark color. I have to say, when I say blue and red, I'll show you which which paints I'm talking about. This is the Reaper Master Series Clear Blue and Clear Red. That's MSP, Master Series paint. That's basically just their paint line. I don't know why it's called Master Series. It just is. But these are the clear colors. And there's 9 of them in total. I think 6 are available on their website or 7. The other ones are exclusively sold at the Reaper factory. But these are my favorite paints. I almost exclusively use these paints. I am going to mix a little bit of green in there. See where that goes. Can't hurt, right? This is how I mix paints. Well, they can't hurt. We'll just eyeball it. This is not an exact science. I just wanted to get a little bit of this dark color out on the palette. It's what I call almost black because I don't use black. Thank you, Mr. Zeller, from my high school art classes, for making us not use black. He wouldn't let us use it. This is the gray that I mixed with this one. That's dried out, but basically it's the same thing as the one I just mixed. And then we have our titanium white, which is not a miniature paint. That's my artist acrylic titanium white. From this tube comes out thick. As you can see, it's been sitting on my wet palette for a while, so it is not quite as toothpaste-like in consistency as it was when I first put it out on the palette. So it does kind of absorb some of that water that's on your wet palette if you're using a wet palette. Although I'm not super concerned about making that be thinner. At first I thought I had to thin it down, but then I realized I really don't, because usually I'm only mixing a little bit of it with other miniature paints, and other miniature paints are already thinner because they go better on miniatures that way. I'm going to drink some tea now. Excuse me while I enjoy my ginger lemon tea. Take a couple breaths. Wow. I'm looking at the primer I put on the toe of his boot, and it kind of just matches the colors I had on there, to the point where I almost don't think I have to do anything else. I do. I am going to. I'm going to make the sole of the boot darker. There's just a little line where there's a sole of the boot here. I feel like I need to make that darker. There's a shadow as his boot gets closer to the wood. That should be darker. And we're just going to use this dark, almost black, as a shadow color here. It's a very versatile color because it's made up of other colors that I've used on this model already. Which means I can use it to shade his black pants. I can use it to shade the metal. I can use it to shade the cape, which actually needs a little bit more shading. Needs a little refining in the midtones too. But we're working on non-metallic metal today. So that's what we're doing. There's just a part of this underneath here. It just doesn't look quite right. This is my new brush. I have a loose bristle on it that keeps sticking out. So there's a border on there's a border here around the edge of his tunic. That's black. And you can see it on this side, but you couldn't see it on the other side. It looked unfinished. And it may have been that I just forgot to paint in that area. Excuse me. I'm just poking a little dark color in the shadows. All these places where you have like under the arm here, there's going to be a dark shadow there, unless it's lit from underneath, which it's not. I don't have any dramatic lighting from weird directions on this model. There's a buckle right here that I never noticed until just now. Wow, is that tiny. And I bet there's one on this side. And now I'm reminded that, excuse me, there's armor on the other side of these. These are metal bracers on the other side of these. I totally forgot about that until just now. There's a lot I totally forgot about until just now. Well, let's just block in some darks then. So, for being a new brush, this one really has. There's that annoying one bristle. I'm going to try and get it away from all the other ones. Alright. Excuse me. I just cut that bristle right at the metal ferrule. Hope that will solve the problem of this. So I was debating if I should do these leather or metal. I thought, well, maybe I should do a metal. Because he's got all this other metal stuff on him. So I'm blocking in this dark shadow right now. Which is, I guess, hard to see. Right there. And then I can hold him upright and think there's going to be another one right here. Because this is like a cylinder. You know, the arm with the armor wrapping around it. Oh, these tiny details. Once again, digital sculpting. Making details that are so small that you can see them, but you'll never be able to paint them. Well, you could. But they're incredibly tiny. And incredibly fiddly, I think is the word I'm thinking of too. I don't know what color to do this guy's hilt. I don't think it should be as shiny as the blade. Oh, that's right. This is the one where the sword broke off. So I had to drill into the hilt. So I cut the rest of the sword blade off at the hilt. I drilled into the hand and I put a paper clip in there. That's what's in there. It's not a blade. It's just a paper clip. At first I was like, well, I guess I'll give him the option, the bow option, but I really wanted him to be dual fighting, dual melee weapons, and not have a bow. I know he's the Elven Ranger, but I just like the idea of him, with two weapons instead. That's just me. So then my friend was like, what if you make a rapier out of a paperclip? I'm like, well, I guess that'll work. And really, until you look at it really closely, you really can't tell. I mean, I wasn't I wasn't filing a paperclip to a point, but not that crazy. But I did have to drill down into the hand, and that was, well, that was interesting. So this is a strap. That's a strap. Once again, these are the details that I almost can make out because I dry brushed over this area. If I hadn't dry brushed over this area, I don't think I would even be seeing these details at all. They're so tiny. And I can't actually see what they are on the top of the arm here. I'm just guessing. I am just guessing at what's going on up here. Same with on this side. I think, whoops, that was a little too much paint. I think there's straps there. I don't know. It seems like there should be because there were on the other arm. But you really can't tell. So we just guess and we just do the best we can. We just keep that illusion going that there's something there and you can tell what it is. This is also very wobbly. I was afraid this one was going to break off too. That's why the old wargaming models that had ridiculously huge weapons worked so well. Because, you couldn't break those swords like this. You couldn't just, if I wanted to, just snap it off. You had to work at it a little bit. Because they were meant to be game pieces. They were meant to be touched and played with. And these are all, they look really cool. Everything looks to scale, real scale. But at the end of the day, you're just afraid to touch it, because you're going to break part of it off. And it isn't just these, it's almost all models these days, it seems like, in any of the games. It's a little disappointing. So they look cool, but you're afraid to touch them. Peter Atkinson, hi. How are you tonight? Hi, Misko. Misko says remember to hydrate. Thank you, Misko. Peter, I'm sick. I almost was going to call in tonight. I said, I'll power through this. Yeah. Well, it happens. It's going around, But I've been wanting to get finished with this guy. He's almost done. You could always bail early if you. Oh, thank you for that. I want to finish my medals on this guy. He's so close to finished. You won't. Oh, good. You won't tell anyone. No one will know. No one will ever know. How are you? This guy has such tiny ears. He's supposed to be an elf. No, you can only see one of his ears. His ear does not look elven, it looks human. I'm just saying. He could pass as either an elven ranger or a human ranger. Or a, fighter with fun, badass half plate. It's not really half plate, but you could fake it. Thanks, Misco. Alright, I have a nice line here of dark. Later we're going to come in with some light. We want that contrast when you're doing non-metallic metals. That hard-edged contrast between your dark and your light. Your dark is dark and your light is light. Being right next to each other is something that really sells it. It sells the illusion. And this is my paperclip sword. Paperclip rapier. That's what that is. What colors should the hilts be? Are the yeah. This looks like there's cloth around it. I feel like maybe it could just be leather. Or maybe it could be red, but I don't have really red anywhere. I have this sort of maroon color here. Could be that same color. Now, what did I use to get that color? That's a question. Because I don't remember. Because I painted that a few weeks ago. Wait, write it down, you say? Write down my color recipes? That makes entirely too much sense. My blue is perilously close to being empty. It's making little bubbles when it comes out. That's how I know. Blue and red. Maybe with a little magenta. I was painting some really fun stuff last week. Not only did I do the metallic, non-metallic metal on this guy, I had so much fun doing that. I started doing the non-metallic metal on this crazy model that's been sitting forever on my desk. Slowly getting paint added to it over the course of 10 years. So I did this metal. I didn't finish it, but the next day I decided I was going to do pustules. So you can see I did pustules and then all the red around it. Look at the difference here. This red versus the ones on the back that don't have it. See how much they stand out with this red magenta glaze around them? You know, and it makes it look like there's shading there, but that red magenta color wasn't very dark. It was not a super dark color. Speaking of magenta, I really should order more. Wait, that's cheating? What is the paperclip is cheating? Wait, I'm not cheating. My sword broke. It was beyond repair. I swear. I tried gluing it together with plastic glue. The comment earlier about writing down your color recipes. Oh, oh, don't make me laugh. Uh-huh. Yes, it's totally cheating. That's why I don't do it. That's exactly why I don't do it. All right, I think I have a good color for... Why did I even do this? Oh, for the hilts of the swords. Brain fog. For the hilt of this sword. I mixed this whole color. Just for the hilt of this one sword. Still, doesn't look bad. And I did say that I needed a mid-tone color for the cape, which I still do. And you know what? I'm totally gonna use this color on this hilt. I feel like in the artist's eye, it probably was ivory. You know, chased with silver or something. But, yeah, not anymore. I can't wait to do the fur trim here. That's really going to make this cape look nice once we paint that fur trim. But now that I have this color, we're going to be distracted from our non-metallic metal by adding midtones to the cape. Because that's how we do it. I think this is going to make that cape look a little smoother in the back. I can't help it. I always make you... I'm sorry. That may be true. I'm just going to have some tea. Misco Blood suggests I stop dying. Okay. This is good. This is fine. This is all fine. I'm just going to paint this mid-tone color on this cape. So my friends who normally would be here hanging out in the chat. Guess what game they're playing every Tuesday night now? Earth Dawn. They're playing Earth Dawn. They just started. I just thought you might like to know there are still people out there that play this, that get excited about it. I did not get to join them because I'm busy on Tuesdays now. How ironic is that? How ironic is that? I could be playing that. Miska says you have friends. Yes, it's my dedication, Peter. It absolutely is. Miska's never heard of the game. You should Google it. I mean, but it's a role-playing game. So, I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in, Misko. Yeah, this is working. I just needed to get a little more color back in the midtones here. It's really starting to smooth out the edges where I had done highlights. Because highlights, they can look rough when you do highlights over your darker colors. But when you come back in with a midtone color over that, just glazing that thin coat over it, you can smooth out that roughness. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm taking this hard edge where I put that paint. I rinse my brush out real quick. And then I take just the damp brush and I go over this with it. And that's a way to thin out a glaze. There's a little too much water on my brush for that. This might work to our advantage. This is that watercolory sort of thing. Sometimes it's good when you have extra water on the model. Do I need to zoom in? Or zoom out? Do I need to zoom out? Have a good dinner, Peter. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We'll get a little of more of our mid-tone color in here, because I think the underside of this should be darker than the top side. So we're just going to do a thin glaze of our mid-tone color over everything under here. It almost looks a bit more plum colored or aubergine. I love that word, aubergine. So this was going to just be maroon, but then it ended up being aubergine, which is not totally bad. And this is definitely smoother, except for this area right here that needs work. It needs more mid-tone. I was watching the Addams Family today, to just totally change the subject randomly, like right before this. I was flipping through channels, eating dinner, and there it was, the Addams Family. It was always a favorite show of mine as a kid, but I sometimes forget how good it was. You know? Really a brilliant show. Alright, I feel like I'm good with the cloak. I think I could say that the cloak is done even, except for the fur lining, the fur trim. So back to the metal, the non-metallic metal. We got some darks. Oh, I didn't really do I didn't really find that shadow here like I did on the other side. This is that hard shading that I was talking about on this side. You do this hard line. And then you take your white and you go right next to it with the white. Now these things are a really weird shape, and I honestly am not certain where the metal armor part ends and where the leather begins, which is weird. It's kind of driving me nuts a little bit. I still have my gray here, so I can throw a little bit of that right there. Then I can have a color that's got some blue in it. We'll put a little bit of white in it, so it's kind of more like a dark blue-gray. We use that as kind of a shading in between our black and our gray right here. These may end up looking different than our previous NMM, non-metallic metal. Is Misco lurking? Are you doing anything fun tonight? I know it's the middle of the night where you are. I am amazed you're even awake, but I appreciate it. Let's go all the way down to the bottom of this and do a little bit of our light color, our white. Then we're going to take that other gray that we mixed up, add that in here. Maybe I should have put the lighter gray in first. Should have put the lighter gray in. Then I add the darker gray, which we can do again. Ooh, too much paint on the brush. It's okay. We got our darker gray. We can throw that in here. Cover some of that up. I'm not super worried about this part being looking like my other non-metallic metal, because honestly, I wasn't even certain if these should be leather or metal, and you can't really tell. At least with the other ones, you know, with the leg ones, you could tell where the armor was. With this part, it's much harder. And now I feel like as I'm trying to find where everything is, I'm just kind of muddying it up. You'll find that when you start second guessing things, when you start adding things and try and make them better, it can just muddy things up. And that is why my husband and I always say, the enemy of good is better. Oftentimes you try and make something better, when really it was just fine, like it was. And you have to go back and fix it. So I think I'm going to leave that. It looks a little rough. Looks a little rough. going to throw a little blue in there because I can't help myself. Because even though I just said the enemy of good is better, I can't help myself. I need to go in and do that. Misko says, Misko is never awake and doesn't even exist. Okay. I don't know who I've been playing Valheim with. If Misko doesn't exist, it would be quite some trick. I'm going to throw some blue on this side too. And, ooh, too much water. This is how I unintentionally water down my thick white when I want it to be thick. Where even is the detail on this? Ugh. For the most part, I really like this model, but this little detail on the back of these, on his arms, these bracers, it's just so tiny. Just can't see it. Can't see it well enough to make it really look like it should. Just a little disappointing. Still, I like this model for a elf ranger. Alright, where was this buckle? The one on this side is not the same. There's a lot of just faking it going on right here. And now I'm trying to fake drow skin. A drow skin mid-tone. I'm still convinced his ear looks like a human ear. I only spent a little time on his skin while I was painting Bullwinkle. Bullwinkle J. Barbarian. So it's nice to be able to smooth up a little bit of the skin tone. Hey, Rathmore. Rathmore says, drink water, nerds. Stay moist. Rathmore asks, why was the dark elf always in bed? Because they were always drowsy. Ah ha ha. Tell me you just made that up. How's Rathmore tonight? In Cathee's world, drow skin highlights have more magenta in them. Because what's fun about being dull and gray? That was a really good one, Rathmore. Inspire bad puns. I am proud of that. Not everyone can say that. Just trying to get a little more highlight here on this dude's face. Find his jaw on the other side there, where it just kind of disappeared in the shadows. I don't know when the next time is that I'll be painting drow. Now that I've figured out how I like to paint drow skin. Sort of. I don't remember at all what the base color was. That was too long ago. That was back when I was painting Bullwinkle J. Barbarian. I would swear this wasn't a brand new brush. Valfera, welcome in. Valfera, every Tuesday night I'm here. Valfera says someone needs a copy of Bella Nacht's Great Butt Drow. Yeah, you're right about that. They make some fantastic minis. I would not mind painting any of that. Let's see. I finished the cape. We're working on some non-metallic metal. These two bracer things on his arms were weird, and I'm just calling those done. So sword highlights. How's Velfera tonight? I'm trying to make a paperclip look like a rapier. That's what I'm doing tonight. It isn't perfectly straight. I did have to bend this paperclip to get it to be straight, which wasn't perfect. And I see there's a tool mark right there from my pliers. We'll just fill that in. No one will ever know. Ugh, didn't want that there. This is a probably if this was made at a larger scale, you could see all the details on this sword hilt, but it's not, so you can't see all the interesting, neat things that I think are happening with it. I'm not 100% certain of that because they're too small and I can't tell exactly what they all are. Ooh, I got white in the wrong place there. It's a good thing I have this other color sitting here. So I can just paint over that. And then we'll let it dry. Valferris is doing good. See, for some reason, I thought you were on Thursdays. Oh, no wonder I could never find you. Hey, Lethal Shadows Gaming. How are you? I hope you were meaning to type battle damage there, Valfera. Valfera says those are a little long for my favorite two-handed drow drizzt. Pardon me. Lethal Shadows is doing good. Been meaning to catch your streams. Well, I stream. Excuse me. I stream on my own channel during the week. Although this week I am under the weather, so I'm taking the week off. As you can see, I'm coughing. So yeah, so I'm just taking the week off except for tonight. I thought I'll just power through it. So yeah, so every Tuesday night I stream here on Gen Con TV, and then during the week, 3 p.m. Central, is when I stream on my own name, which is Catheee Wapple. So you can find me on Twitch there. Thanks, Valfera. Oh, you meant to call the tool marks battle damage? You know, I had thought about that. But I'm trying to make a paperclip look like a rapier, so I thought battle damage might be a little too, I don't know. My brain doesn't work. My brain doesn't work right now. I'm going to try and make this bigger. Zoom in a little. Maybe. It's not you. It's me doing that. And try and keep them in focus. Lethal Shadows says I've had this dang lingering cough for like 2 months now and it really stinks. Is that a excuse me? Is it a post-COVID thing or is it a really bad cold? Because once upon a time I had one that was a lingering cough for 2 months years ago, but long before the virus. And I was just about to go to a doctor and I called my neighbor and she said that they'd been taking Mucinex, which I had never heard of up to then. She's like, we take this, we swear by it. So I went out and I got Mucinex and I started taking that, and the very next night I could sleep. Like I had been just up all night every night reading books and coughing into them. I had completely given up on taking any cold medicine. So after the first 2 weeks, because they say, like if you're taking NyQuil or Robitussin or any of those cough medicines and cough drops, you're only supposed to take them for a couple of weeks, right? So I had stopped taking all that stuff, and I was just awake all night, every night. But the Mucinex, you have to take the green label. The blue label just makes you cough more. It's an expectorant. But the green label suppresses the cough. Yeah. I am several million credits shy of my medical degree, though. So, take it as you will. That's just what helped me through that one thing. And that was just a cold. That was like, that might have been 15 years ago already. But yeah, I had it for like 2 months. I actually started sleeping in a completely different room because I didn't want to keep Jim awake with coughing. I hadn't even thought about taking it for COVID. But then a friend of ours is taking it, and she said it really helped her with her COVID. So I don't know. Once again, not a doctor. Don't even play one on TV. Trying to get some, a little bit of reflection in here on this part of this blade here. We want to build it up to a little point of white, and then it goes, you know, a gentle gradation to a darker value, and then it goes back up to a lighter color down here. And then we'll throw some mid-tone shading in there as well. On the sword that I didn't break, it's actually a sword still, and not a paper clip. I hope it works for you. I hope it does. You're excited for us to get our care package? That's right. I did get the text from UPS. Oh my gosh. I knew that's why your name looked so familiar, because it said so in the text. I mean, just today. I just got that text today. Because anything, yeah, I don't always know who's sending a thing, but if there's something that's coming here UPS, they send me a text. It doesn't matter if it's for me or for Jim. If it's a package and it's UPS and it's going to this address, then I get notified. So that's handy. You sign up for that. It's a very handy thing if you receive a lot of packages. Hmm. There's a little detail here, and I don't know if it's a mold line or if it's one of these tiny little details that you can't tell what it is. I don't know what way this. Oh. It's like, I don't know what way this sword is going, but I found the bottom of the blade. The bottom edge of the blade. Found it. Okay. That helps. I was like, I don't know what this detail is, but now it kind of makes sense. It all makes sense now. I have that Peaches song from the Presidents of the United States of America going through my head right now. Millions of peaches. Wait, USPS has it too? Oh, I need to sign up for that. Bill Ferris says have it for FedEx. And you get an email daily with a scan of your mail. Oh, that's very cool. I should get that. I should sign up for that. Lethal Shadows wants to see a reaction unboxing video. A video? A video? Oh, we usually just send pictures to people when we get stuff. Sorry. I totally just. Yeah. Well, I'm tired. What can I say? I'm sick. I'm tired. They were put there by a man. Not the man, Rathmore. Was it? It's not the man, is it? Lethal Shadow says because James thinks he knows what's in there. But spoilers, he doesn't know what all is in there exactly. Is there candy? Did you put candy in there? Did you put chocolate in there? Are there stuffed animals? What is it? What is it? Belfair says, so does that mean Catheee gets to the door first? Belfair, I wake up in the morning. So the chances of me getting to the door first are pretty good. Unless UPS delivers it. No, because I'm not streaming tomorrow. I'm taking this week off on my channel of streaming so that I can recover my health and be more fit for next week. So, you see now, yes, welcome to my mind. My mind is always spiraling like that. Let's see. I wanted to fix this little area on this. What is it that Gren said this was called? Pannier? This little part of the armor that sits on the hip. Pannier? Panties? I don't know. Oh, Gren. Where are you? Yeah, that song is just going through my head. But I love the Presidents of the United States of America. And that album, you know the album I mean. Every song on it was fun. Ooh. There's my white not going where I want it to. Again. Because I can't get a clear vision of where the corners are on this sword. I know there's edges. I know they're there. Can't quite seem to get them. In a factory downtown. So there's one little thing, and I think it's not a mold line. It's actually a detail that once again is so tiny that you can't even tell there's anything there. It's kind of driving me nuts. So we'll do the same thing on this side. This goes all the way to there. That goes all the way to there on this side. Lethal shadows. Candy, chocolate, stuffed animals, real kittens. I hope not real kittens. Right? Wherefore art thou, Graniette? Oh, thank you. The painted eyes on my visor. Soon I will have stickers that I can give away that other people can stick on their visors. And also, when this visor finally breaks, which I'm amazed it hasn't, I've been using it for 12 years. 12 years, yeah. They only broke it partly so far. It's driving you nuts, Rathmore. Wait, is it in your head now too? Lethal Shadows says okay. So I've been meaning to ask because I think I need to hear this story. And you can totally say no or message me off stream. But what is the the AT&T story? I don't have the stamina to tell that story yet. So you'll have to ask me again later. But I literally don't have the stamina right now. I barely have the stamina to just be here doing this right now. Well, we did get a little bit of reflection stuff going on this. Not, I think that's in the wrong place. Look, here's that whole thing about non-metallic metal that I keep telling people. There's a lot of back and forth with it. And I didn't like where that reflection was there. So I'm just going to paint over it. I like this one up here. I like the ones on this side. We need to find out where the ones will be for this blade, for that side of the blade. AT&T. It is scorched earth. Later, I'll tell you why. Where's my gray? There's my gray. My white is too not white. You see, that's what I needed. Load some white up there. Throw some gray here. Do a little sort of wet blend. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Peaches come from a can. That's just not going away anytime soon. I may have to dig that album out and just listen to it. I entirely blame the Mahogany Witch for that. No, that was actually my fault. No, my fault. It was all me. We'll get here. And I found a good place for my reflection. Hey, Megan. Oops. Megan, how are you? Megan. I am sickies. I'm taking the rest of the week off. But I just wanted to get in and do this stream tonight. Lethal Shadow says, I literally followed this channel just because of you. You're so funny and jovial. Oh, thank you. Well, today I'm not at my best today, but you know, I'll get better. Hey, Queez. Well, first is I'm almost afraid to ask. Almost afraid to ask about what? Megan says Mucinex and Theraflu tea saved our lives last month. Yeah, Jim was saying that we should get some Mucinex. I'm starting to agree with that. Might send him to the drugstore for that tomorrow. Okay, I like this blade. I like that side of it. I like this side of it. I feel like maybe I should have a little more blue here. Sort of a sky blue kind of, you know, maybe with a tiny bit of red to dull down that blue. And then just make it way lighter. Yeah, there we go. The song in the album Velfair, it's the Presidents of the United States of America, the entire album, and the song is Peaches. Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Yeah, I was just talking about peaches for free. Exactly, Megan. See, Megan knows. She knows. Yeah, I love Mucinex for regular colds, but I just didn't even think about it for this. Somehow. I'm just going to throw a little blue in here just to give this a little life, like it's actually reflecting, the colors around it. So you got a warm color on this side that it's reflecting, and the blue cooler color on the other side. When I say the other side, I mean the other side of the lightest reflection here, this white that I'm working on right now. So if you look at the white, this side is blue, this side is a warmer color. It just gives a little extra life to your metallics because they do reflect all of the world around them. So when you add something like that, it makes it look more reflective. Really love your peaches. Really love your peaches. Want to shake your tree. Yeah, that's the Steve Miller Band. Whole different thing. That's a good song as well. Dio? We're just talking about the Steve Miller Band and you showed up. We're just talking about peaches. Also, we might have been talking about yeah. I also dig them both. And you. Yeah, it's always a good time for Diomedes Industries. How are you tonight, Dio? I'm powering my way through all this tonight. Like a champ. Now I'm going to throw a little bit of this color on the underside of this paper clip. Too, so it seems like there's edges on it and it's not just round. And I feel like I've succeeded in doing that. Rathmore says I saw the Steve Miller Band live back in high school. Oh, Dio. It's true. You were totally Legion. That's what I was saying just the other day. At Diomedes Industries. He's Legion. Mm-hmm. So, am I done for today? I still have this side of this one. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Almost. It's been a good evening. Good evening of painting. Got a little distraction in. Got a lot of painting done. It's nice when I can do both. It's always fun. Get a little distraction and a little painting. Peaches come from a can. Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to that whole thing. What am I gonna call it? Did I put new magenta out? I guess I didn't put new magenta out here. I thought I put new magenta out here. You can cast me into... You can cast me into pigs and cause me to run off cliffs. Dio, are there typos in that sentence? Cast me into pigs? Typing on your phone? Oh, that excuse again. Mm-hmm. I just want to get his ear highlighted. Just his ear. He might be done. No, he's not done. And you know why? Deep breath. Excuse me. I need to do the fur trim around his cloak. And I need to do a little bit more to his hair. So close. Oh, my little elf. You're so close to dawn. sometimes it's okay to just take your white paint and fill in all the grooves of hair. Sometimes you want to just pick out the highlights of it, but sometimes you just want to fill in all those grooves because you'd be surprised with hair at how natural that ends up looking. Where you have some shadows, then you have some areas where it's just, just the mid-tone or the highlight. Especially with white. It is an interesting color to paint. So our guy has some shading in his hair. He has this area where it's supposed to be tucked behind his ear, but then his ear, I don't know where the point ends. It's supposed to be a elf ear, but it doesn't look like an elf ear. I'm sorry. Doesn't look like an elf ear. So I think his hair looks smoother now. A little more natural. Daedalus' legion was a biblical figure. All of his demons were cast into pigs. They jumped off a cliff. Rathmore says, tell me why. See, and all I think is, when you say that, is, tell me why I don't like Mondays. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. That's the song that leaps to my mind. Every time. Val Ferris says, I heard that was a no-no on white hair. What? Filling it in? Look, there you go. White hair. Filled it in. There's some parts where the highlights are where you just have to you just fill it all in. Otherwise, it looks really cartoony with all these dark lines going through it. Oh, thank you, Dio. Dio says I like the base on that. Yeah, I made this. It's pretty simple from cork and uh, tree bark, I think, or Sculpey. I think this is Sculpey. Cork and Sculpey, and then I glued a piece of wood to it, and then I put some medium ballast and sand on it, and that was that. I've had this base sitting around forever, waiting for a model to put on it. So, but with that, I think I'm going to call this stream done. My guy's not quite done, but I don't want to mess around with the fur cape lining thing. So, hey, Asmo. Asmo likes the base on Catheee. Asmo, you haven't seen my base. Nice try. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me tonight. As I cough my way through this model, I apologize for coughing in your ears. But hopefully there was at least a little edification. And thank you to everybody who showed up to say hey and keep me company while I'm doing this. That means a lot to me. And I will be taking this week off of my normal Catheee Waffle streams, but hopefully I will see you all next week on Catheee Waffle and right here Tuesday night on Gen Con TV, where, oh my gosh, I have to figure out what I'm doing next week because this guy's almost done. You know what? Maybe we'll finish this guy up. Handsome devil that he is. Why not? Make hot dish next week? I do have the ingredients. So, we'll see. Anyways,